Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning or afternoon, wherever you're logging in from. So today, the mission is to go over the entire Aplos suite. So everything that we offer here at Aplos, we provide a wonderful product, essentially a one-stop shop for nonprofits and churches to handle anything and everything that you may need to handle for your organization, whether it be basic fund accounting, so your bookkeeping to make sure the financials are all good, or donation tracking to make sure that your donations are being handled properly, that your donors are getting the right credit so that they receive contribution statements in a good fashion, or whether just some other operational things such as building a website or sending out an email campaign to your people, or even setting up groups and teams amongst your staff and members. So whatever the case may be, Aplos is the product that provides not only one of those things, but fortunately all of those things and more. So today, that is what we're going to be going over. It is going to be just a basic overview of the majority of the information here today. So I won't go into too much detail on certain aspects of the software, but definitely feel free to submit your questions through that question section on your webinar menu if you have a question at any point in time. Whenever you have a question, just put that in the question section. We will have some designated Q&A time at the very end of the webinar. But if you have questions during the middle of anything, just feel free to pop it there. And then if we have a good spot, I'll take a stop and try to answer those questions right away. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get rolling here. So again, my name is Aaron. I'm a customer support lead here at Aplos Software. I've personally been with the company for just over 3 years now, and I've watched it grow from a simple little accounting piece to this one-stop shop that you see in front of us today. So let's go ahead, and the first page I want to take you guys to is going to be this dashboard screen. So dashboard screen here, this is your basic home page that you get to when you first log into the software. What this dashboard screen does for you is it presents metrics, graphs, and alerts that represent the activity happening within your Aplos account. So as you can see at the very top of your page, right underneath the logo and the name of your organization, you'll see some metrics for items such as total cash balance, net income for the year, net income for the month, or total online donations. And there are other preset metrics that you can place there as well if you like. Underneath those metrics, you'll see the graphs that I'm referring to, such as cash balance, expense breakout, even some donation graphs that are available. If you want to change things around a little bit, you can go to the settings icons, those little gray circle here with the downward arrow. That'll take you to the settings page for the dashboard screen. And so from here, you can pick and choose between the different preset metrics and graphs that we have available for you. So you can place them wherever you like to. Once you do that, just go ahead and click the save button, and that'll take you back to the main dashboard screen with those saved changes. As far as the alerts that you will see, those are going to be listed here on the right-hand side of the page. So this first column we have here for alerts, this is going to let you know of pretty much outstanding things that you have within the software, such as if you have contributions that aren't linked to the accounting side of the software yet, if you have an open bank reconciliation, things of that nature will fall under that category. If you utilize our accounts payable and accounts receivable modules, which I'll cover here in just a little bit, then you will also see notifications for those particular topics in their applicable columns there. All right, and then the last thing I want to show you here on the dashboard is this little privacy switch. So for example, if you want to step away from your desk for a second, you don't want people to see what's on your screen, just simply mark off that box for privacy. That's going to wipe away all the metrics, graphs, and alerts that we just saw and just leave this resource page in its place. Then once you're back at your desk and you don't care who sees your screen, just uncheck that box and then everything will pop right back up for you like normal. All right. So that is the dashboard screen. So what I'm going to do now is take you guys all the way to the bottom of this menu, and we're going to take a look at this gear icon, which is the settings area for the account. So this settings area is only going to be available for those who are full administrators on the account. So only those with full administrative access will be able to see these next few pages we're going to talk about. So under settings, the first page we're going to jump to is going to be the org info page. And so this org info page, this is where you enter in the basic information for your organization. So what that's going to entail is you telling us what your organization's name is, tax ID number, address, phone number, etc. If you have a logo, you can upload that image from this area as well. You can also set your communication settings from here as well. So this is pretty much telling us who the primary contacts are for your organization. So in case we need to get in touch with you for whatever reason, whether it be the credit card we have on file is about to expire, or maybe we just want to send you a monthly newsletter to keep you updated on all things related to Aplos, whatever the case may be, this is the area where you can tell us who we should be communicating with. All right. The next screen we're going to look at here is the users page. And so the users page, this is going to be where you're managing who the users are that have access to your Aplos account. So from this area, if you want to add a new user, just simply click the button at the top of the page that says add user. And that's going to take you to this details screen where you can enter in the information for that new user. So their first and last name, the email address that they'll be using to log in with. You can also select roles for your users. So we do have a variety of roles that you can select from, starting with an administrator who has full access to the entire software, going all the way down to some read-only access roles if needed for a user. All right, and once you have their roles selected, then you can put in a password that individual can change the next time they log in. Once you have all the details filled in, just click Save, and that'll be that. If you ever need to edit any kind of information for an existing user, just simply come to this main users page, click on the name of that user, and it'll take you to the details screen where you can manage that information if needed. All right, the subscription page here, this is, of course, where you're going to manage your Aplos subscription. So if you need to do anything that related to your subscription, such as upgrading or downgrading your account, adding in a promotion code, updating your billing information, whatever the case may be, this is going to be the area you will come to take care of that. Next up here is going to be one of my favorite places, which is the activity log area. So this activity log area is pretty neat, and what it does is it keeps track of all the information that's been happening within your Aplos account. So when you come here, you can check on any given day at any given time what user or users were logged in and what kind of actions they performed while they were in the system. So if you had someone delete a contact from your contact list, or add a donation in the system, or update maybe some transaction data, whatever the case may be, that is all going to be tracked here for you to reference at any point in time. All right, next up is the file box area. So this is your basic storage space within the software. So if you have any images or documents or important files that you just want to keep in a safe spot in the system, you can utilize this file box area to store that information. This file box area does give you up to 1 gigabyte of storage space. So if you have plenty of room to work with, but if you ever need more space than that, definitely let us know and we can increase that storage limit for you. All right, and then the last page we have here is the partners page. So we are partnered with a lot of great companies out there, companies such as Bloomerang, Church Community Builder, Continue to Give, Donor Elf, Gusto Payroll, and PayPal. So if you have an account with one of these companies, or if you are looking into starting one, you are more than welcome to connect those accounts with your Aplos account so that you can work between both programs a lot smoother. All right. So that sums it up for the basic setup spaces within this main menu. What we're going to do now is talk about the fund accounting side of the system, so that financial side. And then after that, we're going to jump into the donations or the donor management side of the software. But first off, let's jump into fund accounting. And the first spot that I'm going to take you guys to is under accounts, and we're going to go to account list. But before I jump over there, I just want to throw this disclaimer out there. So there are some areas of the software here, like I mentioned, we're just doing a basic overview of things today, but there are some things listed here that I will not be touching. Those particular items are going to be part of what is called our advanced tier of the software. So today we're just going over the standard bit, but there are some aspects in another tier called the advanced tier. So things like a fixed assets module, or allocations, or segments, or budgeting by your funds and tags. So features like that are all bundled up within our advanced tier. If you want more information about those things, feel free to let me know in that question section, and myself or another team member here will get back to you to answer those questions. But for right now, let's go ahead and talk about the basics of fund accounting here. So under fund accounting, we're going to go to account list here. And the reason I'm taking you guys here first is because this takes you to the chart of accounts page. Now, the chart of accounts page, this is essentially the backbone for the entire accounting piece. And what this area is for is this is the area where you tell us all the different items that you are keeping track of for your organization. So this is where you tell us what all of your assets are, your liabilities, your equity and funds, your income, and your different expenses that you need to keep track of. This is the area where you can come to enter that information in. So just to show you what it would look like to enter in a new account. So from here, let's say we want to add a new account group as well as a new account within the income category. So within this income category, let me go ahead and start by adding a new account group. So I'm going to click the button at the bottom here. It says add group. And then I'm going to enter in a title for that group. Let's call this other income. All right, so I'm going to click save. So now I've created a group within my income category called other income. When I'm ready to add that new account, what I want to do is click the plus mark icon next to that group title. And that's going to drop down a menu here so I can enter in the details for that new account. Within Aplos, you are required to enter both an account name as well as an account number for your accounts. So if you don't already have a numbering system in place, we recommend going off of the GAAP, or the generally accepted accounting principles. And so what that would mean is that your asset accounts, the things that you own, would be labeled within the 1000 series. Your liabilities, the things that you owe, would be in the 2000s. Your equity and funds are going to be 3000s, income would be 4000s, and then expenses are going to be in the 5000s and above. But again, those are just recommended values. If you have a numbering system that you're familiar and comfortable with, you are more than welcome to still use that same numbering system here in the software. But for our example, we're going to go ahead and call this one 4050 to keep it in the 4000 category. And then I'm going to title this one miscellaneous income. All right, so I have my number, I have my name. Now there are some other fields here I can fill out which are optional. The first one here is for fund, and so this allows me to assign a particular fund to this income or expense account if I were working in that area. And so what this will do, so let's say for example, this miscellaneous income account should be tied to my missions fund, so I'll select that. So what this will do in the system now for me is anytime I go in and start recording a transaction using this income account, the fund that I've selected will automatically fill in for me, so I don't have to manually select it each time. So that's a helpful thing to do there. Underneath that is an option to make this account a sub account. So if that's something you need to do with this new account, just simply check the box there. And then in the blank field, you'll enter in what the parent account should be for that sub account. All right, once you have everything filled out here, just go ahead and click save. And now under my income category, I have my new group for other income, and then my new income account 4050 miscellaneous income. And then here is that fund that it is associated with. All right, so pretty simple process to get that all taken care of. So you know what, let me go ahead and do this. I noticed that I had my screen a little bit smaller than I'd like. So let's see. Hopefully that'll be a little bit easier on your guys' eyes now, maybe. So you won't be straining it so much. All right, so under accounts, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to jump to tags next. And so custom tags, this is a feature we offer, or a tool that we offer, which allows you to further categorize your transactions so you can see more details on your reports. So for example, let's say that you are an organization that has multiple fundraisers throughout the year. So you have a spring fundraiser, a summer fundraiser, and then a winter fundraiser. The cool thing about the tags feature in Aplos is that you don't have to create separate accounts for those within your chart of accounts, but rather you can create tags for those items. So this way, when you're ready to run reports, not only can you run reports based off of all of your fundraisers if you wanted to, but you can run reports based off your individual tags that you set up. So if you set up a tag for your spring fundraiser or your summer fundraiser, you can run a report based off that specific tag. So you can see everything that's come in and gone out for that fundraiser and see how well it did for you. So that, or if you, another great example would be if you have multiple locations or different departments within your organization. So anything that you need to keep track of, tags would definitely be a helpful tool in that regard. All right. Move along here. We're going to jump to the starting balances page. So within the starting balances page, this is where we're going to tell us the beginning balances for your asset and liability accounts. So going down the page, you will see the list of all of your assets and liabilities that you built in the chart of accounts. And then going across the page, you're going to see columns for the different funds that you've set up as well. So for example, my checking account here has a beginning balance of $23,500. I really wish it was that amount, but for this example, that is the amount that it is. So that $23,000 amount, that is actually split between multiple funds that, like you see here. So I have a good portion within my general fund, another portion within missions fund, and then split out again between my building fund. So if that's the scenario that it needs to happen, then definitely you can split it out like that. Or if the total balance just needs to be associated with one particular fund, like a general fund, then you can plop that total amount within the most applicable fund column. All right. I did see one question come through. Let me just go ahead and jump to that real quick so we can get that knocked out. If you make a mistake setting up accounts, is it easily changed? Great question, Charles, and the answer to that is yes. So if you notice on your chart of accounts that something just isn't right for you, or you need to update some information, like even add a new account, you are more than welcome to go back to your chart of accounts at any time, make the appropriate change, and then those changes will automatically reflect on all of your transactional history. So good question there. All right, moving along here under accounts, we're going to jump now to the budgeting page. And so from this budgeting page, this will allow you to create a budget for your organization if you wanted to. When you get here, what you'll want to do is start by clicking Add Budget, and then put in the fiscal year that you are working within. So in this case, if you wanted to say, let's say 2019, you would type that in, and then you would just click Add. Once you do that, you will get to a screen that looks similar to this. And so this is the Manage Your Budget screen. When you get here, you'll see a list of all of your income and expense accounts that you've set up in the chart of accounts area. And then from here, what you'll want to do is go into the blank fields for the budget column, and then enter in what those annual budget values are for those different accounts. So, of course, this is going to be for the annual budget altogether. But if you are an organization that does things maybe on a monthly basis instead, or just budgets for certain months out of the year, then you can check the box at the top here that says Show Monthly Breakdown. And that's going to open it up for all of those months within your year, so that you can click into any of those appropriate months and enter in the values that you need to for those months. All right. Underneath that is a 1099 section. So we are able to generate 1099s for you through the software if you wanted to. So what this would require you to do is set up some 1099 tags. So what would give you a list of all of your expense accounts, and then you'll see columns for the different categories for the 1099, and you'll just need to map those out accordingly so we can keep track of the right expenses. The second step to that would be to go into your contact list under the people area, which I'm going to cover here in a little bit. And we have a group created for you there that's called 1099 Vendor. And you'll just want to assign those contacts to that group so that we know which individuals to keep track of. Once everything is mapped out, then the system will keep track of that information, so that when you're ready, you can generate the 1099 form for those people through the reports area of the system. All right. So that is all for the accounts subheader here that we're going to talk about. The next thing I'm going to do here is jump under transactions, and we're going to go to registers. We're going to talk about how to enter in your transactions now. So this first page that we're looking at here, the register page, this is probably going to be the primary place that you come to enter in data. So when you get here, the first thing you're going to want to do is start by selecting which register account you want to be working within. So in this case here, let's say that I just want to work within my checking account, so I'll select that. Once I've done that, I can drop down here to the Add Deposit Payment area, and I'm going to enter in the details for one of my latest transactions. So let's say that today, January 23rd, I went to Target. I'll select that contact. All right, and then I can leave a comment if I want to. So let's say bought supplies. And then let's say I spent $80 there today. All right, skip through that. If I paid by check, I could put something here in the check number field, but I'm going to skip over that since I didn't. And then the account I'm going to select here is the appropriate expense account for this transaction. So let's go ahead and, for now, I'm just going to use my miscellaneous expenses account. All right, I have my account selected. The fund I want to be associated with this transaction, we'll keep it as my general fund. And then if I had a custom tag that was applicable, I could enter that tag here from the custom field area. All right, once all my required information is filled out, I'm going to go ahead and click Submit here. And then if it posts successfully, it's going to land down here in the transaction history area of your page. So as you can see, there is today's date, my payee, the expense account I used, the comment I left, the payment I made, and the remaining balance within my checking account. Now, if I wanted to review those details or make any kind of changes, I can simply click on the entry from here in the history area, and all these fields will be available for me to click into and make the appropriate changes to if needed. Or if you wanted to get rid of the transaction altogether, there is a little handy-dandy trash can icon on the right-hand side of each transaction that you can use to quickly delete that transaction from the system. All right. Also within the register, you do have options to create split transactions. So if that's something you need to do, just simply click this split option here on the page. That will open it up so that you see similar fields like what you do now, but you'll have the option to add additional rows to the entry so that you can do your split. The last thing to show you here on the register page is this little import option that you have available as well. So if instead of keying everything manually, you wanted to just import your data directly into the system, what you can do is click on this import option. That'll take you to the manual import screen. And what you'll want to do first is download this template that we provide for you here. So you download this transaction file template and copy and paste your information onto that template. Once you do, you can upload your file back here on the import page. And then once you upload that file, it's going to show you a list of available transactions from your file that are available to import. So you'll just make sure that the register at the top is selected to the right account you want those transactions imported to, so like your checking account. And then once you're down here and you see these available transactions, if all the information is filled in, then you can either click the import button to individually push a transaction in the system, or you can use the check boxes on the left to mark multiple off and then click import selected so that you can move multiple transactions at one time. So a very helpful time-saving tool if you wanted to utilize that. All right, so under transactions, the next page I'm going to take you guys to now is the journal entry page. So journal entry, this is just an alternative way for entering in your transactions in the system. What you would do from here is start by putting in your date, and then you would put in a memo for that transaction. Underneath your memo, you would be entering in the details for the accounts and funds and tags that would be associated with this transaction. The main difference here with the journal entry page is that you would have to manually debit and credit your accounts for each account that's on the entry. The register, on the other hand, just automatically debits and credits for you. So that's really the major difference there. Also, from the journal entry page, you can perform fund transfers. So if you click the Start New Fund Transfer option, that's going to take you to this detail screen where you can perform that type of transfer. So this would be a situation where within, like for example, for me, if within my checking account, if I wanted to reallocate money from my general fund to some type of restricted fund that I have, this would be the area that I could go to make that kind of movement happen. So from here, I would put in the memo, the date of my transfer, within what asset or liability account is the transfer happening within. So in this case, we could say our checking account. How much do you want to move? So $100. The source fund, so where that money is going to move out of, we could say our general. And then the target fund, where that money is going to move to. So we would say maybe our Save the Turtles fund. All right, so I have everything selected there. And then once everything is filled out, I would just click transfer. And so then, like I mentioned, what this will do is just within my checking account, reallocate a portion of my cash balance from my general fund to my Save the Turtles fund. So it doesn't actually change the cash balance of my checking account, but it just reallocates it so I can designate it properly. All right. So that is the journal entry area. Up next, we're going to take a look at the accounts payable section. So within accounts payable, this is an area where you can keep track of the bills that you're making payments on over time. All right, and so from here, what you would want to do first is enter in the details for that new bill. Once you've submitted those details, then it's going to land here in the Pay Bills section of your page. When you're ready to start making a payment towards that bill, just find the correct bill and then put in the amount you're going to be paying and the payment date. Once you do that, you have two options to select from. You can either click Pay Bills, which will simply record the transaction in your register for you, or you can click Pay Bills and Print Checks, which will still record the transaction for you, but it will also take you to the check print screen so that you can print out a check for this payment if you wanted to. Once your bills have been fully paid off, then they're going to land down here in the History/Close section below. All right, moving on to accounts receivable. So now this is the other way around. This is if you send an invoice to someone and now they're making payments to you over time. You would start by putting in the details of that invoice at the top of the page here. Once you've submitted those details, then they're going to land in the Receive Payment section. Once you start receiving payments for those invoices, just simply find the right invoice, enter in the amount you're receiving and the receive date, and then you can click Receive Payment to record that transaction. If you just want to send out the invoice to the specific individual, you can just check off whichever invoice you want to send out. And then you can click either Print Invoices, which will print out a copy of the invoice that you can hand deliver to that person. Or you can click Email Invoices, which will allow you to send an email with a copy of that invoice to that individual. All right, and then once everything has been paid off, it's going to land down here in the History section below. All right, moving forward here, we're going to jump to another time-saving tool that we offer, which is called bank integration. So bank integration, this is a tool that allows you to connect your bank account with your Aplos account. So once you have that connection going, you would just click this button here that says retrieve transactions, and that will bring over any kind of posted transaction that has happened within your bank account. So from here, once those transactions come through, you'll see them listing on this pending page in front of you. So we bring over the majority of the information from the bank, such as the date of the transaction, any kind of check number, note, or memo, payee name, and amount. The only information that we are unable to bring over is just the account and fund associated with that transaction. So you'll still need to do a little bit of manual work as far as entering those in. But once all the data is in there, the same options apply like they were on the manual import screen. You can either click import to individually move a transaction, or use the checkboxes on the left and import multiple at one time if you wanted to. All right. Underneath bank integration, let's go ahead and jump into bank reconciliation. So bank reconciliation, this is a tool that allows you to kind of like a checks and balances tool to make sure that everything in Aplos is accurate with what's showing on your bank statements. So using this tool, this will help you figure out if you have any duplicate transactions in Aplos, if you have anything missing in the software, or if you just recorded something incorrectly. This is a good way to just check and make sure that everything you have within Aplos is accurate. All right. And the last page I'm going to show you under transactions here is the check print screen. So as I mentioned earlier in accounts payable, you are able to print out checks for your transactions if you want to. When you get to the screen, you would just select which register you want to look within. Once you do that, then you're going to see a list of all the available transactions that you can print a check for. Whichever ones you do want to print a check for, just simply check the box for those and then enter in your starting check number. Once you do that, you just want to click print. And that will download a PDF file to your computer with those transaction details so that you can just print that information right onto your checks. If there is something here that you do not want to print a check for, then you can simply mark those off and then use the dismiss selected option, and that will remove those transactions from this page here. As far as what types of checks we support, we currently support both draft and voucher style checks. So the draft is being 3 checks per page and the voucher being the check on top and the 2 stubs underneath. If you do not have these types of checks available, you can use the link here and that'll take you to our preferred provider, Dynamic Systems, and you can order those styles of checks through them if you wanted to. All right. Moving through here now, we're going to jump over these couple of tabs here and jump over to payroll. So as far as payroll, as I mentioned earlier, we are partnered with a wonderful company called Gusto Payroll. They are a full-service payroll provider, and we offer a full integration with them. So what this means is that the information that happens within Gusto will automatically be sent over to Aplos for you. So there's no kind of nasty export, import process. It just simply happens in Gusto. You give it the okay, and it pushes right over into the Aplos system for you. And so really, really easy to handle integration there. And also, if you are a new customer, and tell them you're an Aplos customer, you actually get 3 months of service for free. So it's another great reason to kind of look into their services. If you want more information about that, we actually did do a webinar with them last week, kind of going over their services. So we can definitely send you a copy of that webinar, or we can send you the link to their support center so that you can get in touch with their team. All right, the next tab I'm going to take you to is the e-file tab. So within Aplos, you are able to e-file for either the Form 990N or the Form 990EZ. So if your organization needs to do either one of those filings, instead of looking other places, you can file them directly from your Aplos account here to the IRS. So we don't offer the full form, unfortunately, so you would have to look elsewhere for that. But like I said, if you need the N or the EZ, those forms are available for you here through the software at no additional cost. All right, and the last option here under fund accounting, this is the period close section. So this is the area you can use to lock down everything in your account up to a certain point. So what you would want to do when you get here is just jump to the period date field and enter in the date that you want to lock your books to. So in this case, since most of you are probably trying to close out 2018, we'll just go ahead and select December 31st of 18, and then we would click close period. And so like I mentioned, that will lock down everything that you have in the system up until that date. So you can't go back and make changes to any of the transactions, and you can't go back and add anything new to that time period either. So it'll be completely locked out. But definitely understand that, mistakes happen, changes do need to be made at times. So if you have closed a period, an administrator can always go back in and reopen a closed period so that you can take care of those changes if needed. All right. All right, so this is the Fund Accounting tab. I'm going to move over to reports for a second and talk about the different accounting reports that you can generate. So this main reports tab here, this is going to give you all of the reports that are available. So whether it be for the accounting side or the donation side, all of your reports are going to live within this one tab of reports. All right, just to show you an example of a couple of our accounting reports, this first one we're taking a look at is the balance sheet report. So the balance sheet report, this gives you a quick snapshot of where your assets, liabilities, and equity accounts stand as of a certain date. So as of today, these are the balances for my accounts. If I wanted to see the breakdown for one of those amounts, I could simply click on the amount, and that will take me to a transaction list report where I can look at the breakdown for that overall total. All right, and the next report I'm going to show you real quick here is the income statement report. So income statement, this is your basic profit and loss report that shows what's come in and what's gone out as of a certain date range. Most of the reports in Aplos do run off of a date range rather than an as of date like the balance sheet. So if you want to change your date range around, just simply click on the date field on the left-hand side there. And we give you some preset options such as this month, last month, this year, last year. But we do also offer a custom date range option as well if that's needed. All right, and then something else that's available on all of your reports are going to be these blue buttons that are going across the top here. The first option here for share, this allows you to email a report directly from the software if you wanted to. So if you have certain individuals that need to see certain reports, instead of downloading it and sending it in a separate email, you can simply click that share option, put in who those contacts are, what style you want the report to be in, so either it's some type of Excel file or a PDF file, and then boom, just send it right off to those individuals. No extra work necessary. The save option, this allows you to save a report as is. So if you have a report that you've made a lot of modifications to and you're going to continue using the report in that way moving forward, instead of redoing those modifications each time, just simply click save. And so the next time you go back to the main reports page, you'll see a category called saved reports, and you can access that previously saved information from there. The print option, this allows you to print out the report if you like to. And then the download option, this allows you to export your report either as an Excel file or a PDF file. All right. So congratulations. We made it halfway through what the software can do. So we've made it through the accounting section now. I'm going to answer a couple of questions that came through real quick here, and then we are going to jump into the donor management side of the system. So let's take a look at those real quick. All right, so Michael, great question. So is there a place to add a receipt for each transaction? So there is actually. So if you go back under Fund Accounting, we'll go to the register page. So when you go to the register and you open up the details for that transaction, all right, so here's my target one. If I wanted to add the receipt, there's going to be this little paperclip icon on the right-hand side, and you can use that to upload an image of a receipt or some type of other document that you want to put or assign to that transaction. All right, so how would you record the transaction if you were to receive donation over a period of time? All right, so that is a great question, Ian. So I am actually going to jump back to that one because we're going to kind of talk about that when we discuss donations here in a little bit. So hang on to that question. Are you able to import bank transactions into Aplos? All right, good question, Mac. I don't know if I hopefully answer that, but we do offer a bank integration tool that you can utilize to import your transactions from the bank. If you have any more additional questions on that, though, just let me know and I'll be glad to answer those. All right, perfect. So now let's go ahead and talk about your people and donation tracking. So the next tab I'm going to jump to here is going to be the people tab. And so the people tab here, this is your contact database within the system. So everybody that you have listed in the system anywhere, whether it's an accounting contact, a donor contact, or a staff member of your organization, they are all going to live within this one contact database. So the first place under people here is the contact list page. So as I mentioned, this is your kind of Rolodex of all of your individuals that are a part of the organization in some way. So when you want to add a new contact, what you would want to do is click the green circle with a plus mark icon here. And that's going to open up this window where you can enter in the details for that new contact. So like their first and last name, email address, phone number, home address, whatever information you need to add, you can do so from here. Going back to this main page here, there is another little gray circle icon, which is an extra actions option you can go to. When you click on that, you do have some additional options such as import contacts. This will allow you to import contact data that you have already into the Aplos system. So like if you have your information on some type of Excel file, you can use that to upload your data. The export contacts option, this will allow you to export the data you currently have within Aplos. And then the duplicate contacts feature there, that is a tool that will search your entire contact database for possible duplicates. If it finds any that look suspicious, it's going to alert you of those so that you can quickly merge them together and clean out your contact list. All right. So speaking about your contacts, let me go ahead and just jump into one of mine real quick. So just go ahead and jump into my contact here. All right. Please excuse that picture. I really don't like it. So I'm going to have to change that later. But so this is my personal contact card. So all of your contacts are going to have this, what we call a contact card that's going to have all of their information that you've listed in the system. So going down the page here, you'll see kind of their basic info, such as if they have like a quick snapshot of their donation history, if they have any payables or receivables that are outstanding. On the right-hand side of the page here, you'll have different tabs for information that you can look at or keep track of. So the activity, this is going to let you know of all activity that's been happening for your particular contact that you're looking at. So if they made a contribution, if you sent them a letter, if you gave them a phone call, whatever the situation is, that activity will be listed here. Essentially, it's an activity log for each of your contacts in the system. The details, this is going to give you the specific details for that contact, such as their first and last name, home address, phone number, etc. The notes tab here, this will allow you to add individual notes for your contacts. So if there is something important that you want to make a note of for that contact, you can come here and click add a new note. And then you can put that message in so that you can always reference that note later on if needed. So what most people use this for is if they want to designate, like in this example, if they're a first-time visitor, or if they like helping out for certain events, or if they have an allergy of some kind. This is the area you can kind of come to just make notes so that anybody can come back here and reference that information. All right, the list option. So list refers to groups that you create in the system. I'm going to cover that here in just a second, but just to give you a quick overview of that. So you are able to create groups within Aplos, and then this list section would just allow you to add your contact to any of the existing groups that you have in the system. Contributions, so this is going to show you their the contact's contribution history, if there is any. Reports of contact, this is an area where you can make note of any time you've contacted the contact that you have here. So whether it was an email, or you sent them a letter, or you gave them a phone call, this is a way for you to keep track of all of those times you kept contact with that individual or company. So if you have something new you'd want to add, just start by come here and click the add a new reported contact option. From there, you would just put who the contact was that reached out to this individual or company. And then underneath that, you would put in what type of contact was it. So was it a phone call, an email, etc.? What was the date that you communicated with them? And then the topic that you guys discussed, so the content of that conversation. Relationships, this allows you to tie contacts with other individuals you have listed in the system. So if you want to connect a husband and wife, or brother, sister, or co-workers, whatever the kind of relationship you're trying to keep track of, this is the area where you can go to connect those different contacts within your organization. All right, dates. This is a section where you can designate important dates for a contact. So this would be something like an anniversary date, or maybe even a birthday, or maybe the day they started they joined your organization. Whatever kind of important dates you want to keep track of for their contact, you can add those from this tab here. Reminders. So this is a way for you to kind of give yourself a reminder notification if you wanted to contact this individual for any reason. So if you are saying, oh, you know what, I need to contact Aaron on Friday to talk about this particular event that he's volunteering for, you can click add a new reminder, put in the date that you're planning on calling that or contacting that person. So we could say this Friday, the 25th. And then in the message field, you can talk about what that topic is going to be. So we can say, talk about volunteer event. All right, and then click save and close. So now that adds that reminder into the system. And where these reminders live is not only on the contact card, but also under another dashboard that we offer under the marketing tab. It's called the feed. So just to jump there really quick, sorry for going out of order, but let me just show you this real quick. So the feed, this is an area where it's kind of like a operation management type of dashboard. So from here, you would see any kind of reminders that you have listed. So as you can see for this week's activity, there is the contact Aaron, and I have a reminder that says to talk about this event. So most people, what they'll do is they'll kind of check this feed area maybe once a day or a couple times a week, just to make sure that they are getting through the tasks that they have assigned for themselves for the week or the month. And so from here, if when you are ready to kind of work on this reminder, then you can either click the X to dismiss it altogether. You can postpone it if you want to. You can add a note to that reminder, or you can send an email template that you have, or a personal email that you can send out to that person, so that you can take care of that conversation right here from the software if you wanted to. All right, so let me go back here, and we'll go back to my contact real quick. All right, so that would be the reminder section, and then the transactions are going to be just if there are any accounting transactions associated with that individual or company. All right, so moving along from the contact list, we're going to jump into the subheader called list. So like I mentioned earlier, list is just a way for you to create groups of contacts within the software. You are able to create two different types of list. One is called a static list, and what a static list is kind of like a permanent group. So if you have maybe board members for your organization, or certain volunteers that helped out for a particular event, or people that are part of a different maybe like a program within your organization, those are people that are kind of stay the same. They're not going to really change over time. So you would just this is the area where you can go to create that type of group. A dynamic list, on the other hand, is another type of list you can create, and this is a list that you build off of certain behaviors. So if you want to create a list for, say, maybe any donor that gave within the last 3 weeks, you could generate a list based off those details, and so that list is going to keep changing every 3 weeks, essentially. So so from there, that would be a list that would just change based off the behavior you've selected. All right, custom fields. Now this is an option if you need to keep track of additional information for your people that we don't already have a field for. Then you can come here and create those different custom fields so that you can continue keeping track of that information for your contacts. Something like maybe an ID number or a t-shirt size. All right, and the last thing we have here is households. So you are able to create households within the software. So what this would look like is if you have multiple contacts that live within the same household, you can group them together. So this way, this is very handy when it comes to either sending out an email, so you don't contact everybody in the household, just maybe the one main head of household. Or if you're generating contribution statements, you don't have to do multiple statements for each person, but you can just give one overall statement for the household. So within households, as you can see, I have a couple of examples here, such as the Addams Family and the Avengers. So if I click into one of those, you can see that this is the household for the Avengers. You can see the activity for that household, their basic details, who the members are within that household, and then any kind of contributions or transactions or report of contacts that you have for that household. All right, so moving along from people, I'm going to jump over this one real quick, and we're going to go into donations. So let's talk about how you would enter in donations within the system. So under this donations tab, the first subheader we have here is called the fundraising center. This is yet another kind of the dashboard area that we provide for you regarding your donations. So within this area, what we do in the software is we kind of split up your donor contacts within 4 different categories based off of their donation activity. So the first tab that we have here is prospects. So these are people that have either never given to your organization, or they haven't given within the last 2 years. So if they fall under either of those criteria, they would be kind of bucketed here in this prospects option. The next one over is going to be new donors. So these are people that have given for the first time, like within the last 12 months. And then engaged donors are going to be anybody that's given more than once over the 12-month period. And then lapsed donors, these are people that have given last year but have yet to give this year. So it's kind of people that have kind of fallen off the bandwagon, so to speak. And so those are the different categories that your donors can fall under. If you wanted to review that information, you can click on any one of these boxes and that'll show you the contacts that fall under that category. And then underneath is just kind of a graph that represents the amount of donations that you've received over time. All right, next up here is purposes. And so why we're coming here first is because purposes are essentially the chart of accounts you build for the donation side of the system. And purposes, in short, are just the reasons why people are giving to your organization. So whether it be tithes and offerings, maybe it's a certain fundraiser that you're hosting or a service project that you're doing, whatever the case is, whatever reason people are giving you donations for, that's where you're going to want to set up as a purpose within Aplos. And so those purposes, what you want to do when you create them is you'll link them to an income account and a fund. So this way, once everything is tied together, the donations you record in Aplos will not only keep track of the donor records that it'll reflect correctly on a contribution statement, but we will also post an accounting deposit for you on the accounting side of the system so that you don't have to do two entries. You can just enter the one entry from the donation side, and it'll automatically post a deposit on the accounting side so that your books are in balance already. All right, so that is your purposes. So I'm going to jump over here real quick to contributions because we're going to discuss how to enter contributions within the system first. So under contributions, there are two different ways to enter in your donations. The first subheader here we have is called contributions. And so what this area allows you to do is input individual donations in the system. So these would be donations that, for example, let's say I went out to lunch with one of my donors. They gave me a check. And so I appreciate that check, but I'm not going to deposit it to the bank quite yet. I'm going to hang on to it until the end of the week when I deposit all of my donations at once to the bank. So from here, what I would do is just click the green circle with a plus mark icon. And that's going to open up this window where I can enter in the details of that individual contribution. So I would select the contact. So we can say maybe this is going to be, let's see, who can we play with today? Let's go ahead and just use Robert. So we've selected Robert as our donor. The purpose he is giving towards is going to be maybe our golf fundraiser. Acknowledge stands for if you've sent a thank you for this donation or not. So if you plan on sending a thank you, you can choose acknowledge to say that you have done it. Unacknowledge would mean that you haven't done it yet, but you're going to send a thank you. And then dismiss would be if you do not plan on sending any type of thank you for this donation. Contribution date, this is when you received the check or a donation. So in this case, we could say it was today. The amount, we would say $100. Reference ID would be if they did pay by check, or if any kind of other unique ID that you want to enter in, you could put that in this field. So if it was check, we could say this was check 1234. And a note that you can mark for the donation. If there was an expense that was applied to this donation, more commonly this is like if it was an online donation that has a transaction fee that was applied, you could enter that expense amount there. And then these next two fields stand for non-tax deductible amount. So if there was any portion of this gift that the donor received a good or service for in exchange for that payment, then you would want to designate that within this NTD amount column. And then you can leave a note for what that NTD amount was for in the note field below if you wanted to. But once I have all my required fields filled out, I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close here. And so now that added my contribution. So there is today's date. There is my donor contact, Robert, the reference ID for that check number, the purpose he gave to, and then the total amount that was given. So like I mentioned, this scenario here just keeps track of the donor record. It hasn't posted anything to the accounting side yet. So what I would want to do is at the end of the week, if I've entered all my donations in, I can mark off whichever donations should be a part of a deposit that I made, and then click Create Deposit here. And that will batch them all together so that I just see a lump sum deposit within the accounting side when I'm ready. So that would be option 1 for entering in your donations. Option 2 would be back under contributions subheader here. We'll go to deposits now. And so deposits is where you kind of just skip a step, and then just create the batch of donations that you want to deposit to the bank. So you would come here, click on the green circle with the plus mark icon. When you get here, you'll start by putting in the date of your deposit. So we could say that was today, and then a deposit or batch name. So kind of like a unique name to describe this batch of donations. So we can say maybe weekly deposit. All right, if you want to put an additional description, you can do so underneath there. But once you get the required information filled out, you can drop down here and start entering the details for each individual donation that you're depositing. So from here, we can say that these donations maybe came in on Monday, the 21st. So there's the date that I received the donation. If they paid by check, I could put that here. The donor's name for this one, let's go ahead. We'll use Fester Adams. All right, and so Fester gave to, let's say, our camp scholarship purpose, gave maybe $20 there. All right, and that is it. We don't have any non-tax deductible amounts, so I can skip a line here. Let's go to the 21st again. And then let's say this person did pay by check. They used 2468. And then this donor, let's say this was our good friend Shannon. All right. So this little pop-up here is designating that Shannon has a pledge within our organization. So I will discuss that a little bit more here. So don't mind that for right now. We'll touch back on that in just a second. So we'll say Shannon is our donor. Shannon gave to, we'll say, our general purpose, and she gave maybe $50. All right, and so let's say that was all the donations I received for that week. So I have all my donations listed here. At the very bottom, I'll want to select which bank account I want these donations to be deposited to. So I have my checking account selected, which is great. So once I'm ready, I would just click Save. And so now on this deposit screen, there is the date of my deposit, the batch, the name I gave it, how many contributions it consisted of, how many donor contacts it consisted of, and then the total amount of what was given. So if I click into that, I'll see the details for that donation, or for all the donations that I received. And then I see this link here, and that means that my donation entry was also posted to the accounting side, like I mentioned. So if I click on this link, it'll take me to the register. And this will show me the details of that deposit that was made. It won't show me any of the donor information. So if I do want to see those details, there's a link here that says source contribution with the batch name that you gave. And if you click on that, it'll take you back to the donation details so that you can review that individual information. All right. And so those would essentially be the different ways that you can enter in donations within the system. So moving along here, we kind of touched on pledge a little bit when we used Shannon in our example. So let's go ahead and jump to pledges. So you are able to create pledges within Aplos. And a pledge essentially is a promise that someone makes to your organization for donating a certain amount of money. So we can say that, so like Shannon here, Shannon pledged to donate $15,000 to our organization, and she plans on paying monthly for the amount of $100 a month until it's all paid off. So if you wanted to create a pledge, you could start by clicking the green circle with the plus mark icon. Then you can fill in the details for who the donor is, what purpose do they want to give towards, the full amount that they are pledging to give your organization, and then what kind of schedule they want to set up for those payments. So that once you do have a pledge set up, and then let's go back to deposits here, start a new one. All right, when you put in that person's name the next time after you've created their pledge, so like Shannon, then the system will recognize that they have an open pledge. So when you are entering in their donation, if it should be going towards the pledge amount, then you can check the box there to say, yes, apply that to the pledge that they've made. Or if it's going to be above and beyond, you can just leave that box unchecked so that it'll count as an additional donation on top of what they've pledged. All right, and then there are pledge reports that you can generate and give out to your people as well. So if you want to help them stay on top of things and know how much they have left to give you, that kind of thing. All right, moving on along over here. So within something else that we offer within Aplos is an event registration tool. So essentially a way for people to register for certain events that you're hosting or purchase tickets for a particular event that you're having. So I'm not going to go into too much detail over this. However, we do have a separate webinar that does go into more detail on this. So definitely let me know if you're interested about this tool, and we can send you that information. But just to give you a quick example, let's go ahead and view this guy. All right, so here is an event that we created. We have the little logo at the top, the title of what the fundraiser is for, the date of the event, and then where it's going to be located at, a little kind of summary about the event, and then here are the different tickets that I can choose from. So you can have free tickets, you can select how many you want of those, or if you want a paid ticket, you can choose from those. Once you do that, then you can just once you've selected which tickets you want, you just proceed from there and enter in your billing information. And then the cool thing about this is we keep track of all the transaction information for you. So once someone has purchased tickets, then the transaction will automatically be put into Aplos for you. So there's no kind of manual entry work there. It's just it happens within the form once they submit it, and then boom, Aplos records the transaction for you. All right, and that's pretty much it as far as the overview for the events page. So then the next thing I'm going to jump to here under donations is the online donation functionality. So within Aplos, you are able to receive online donations if you wanted to for your organization. What that would look like is you would want to set up either an online donation form or an online donation widget. So I'll show you what those look like here right now. All right, and so you'd come under online donations, you'd go to online donation forms. That takes you to this page here. As far as the ability to receive online donations, we are partnered with a company called WePay. WePay is just another processing company like PayPal or Stripe. They're just the partner that we work with specifically. There is not an extra fee to create your WePay account, and then the only fees that are extra are going to be the transaction fees that happen for each processed donation. And so if you, for all of our organizations out there, the transaction rates are going to be 3% plus 30 cents for credit cards and 2% plus 30 cents for ACH payments. So ACH being like an e-check where your donor puts in their banking information. If your donors are paying with an American Express card or an international credit card, there is a little bit of a bump there. And so that transaction rate would be 4.1% plus 30 cents. So again, 3% plus 30 cents for most major credit cards, 2% plus 30 cents for the ACH, and then for American Express or international cards, it's 4.1% plus 30 cents. But besides those transaction fees, there are no additional costs for using us for your online donations. Now, as far as the different forms that you can create, the first one for online donation forms, let me go ahead and show you an example of what that would look like. So here is going to be a sample form that we've created, and this is for a very serious cause that we've made for pufferfish obesity. So to help save the pufferfish from being obese. So at the very top, you have our logo for the organization, a title for the form. You have a picture and some text. Underneath that, we have the information for your donor to fill out. We automatically put in the fields for first name, last name, and email address. But if you want to keep track of additional information, such as a home address, a phone number, or custom fields of your choosing, you can add those to the form as well if you wanted to. Underneath that, your donors can select from pre-designated amounts that you set up, or they can offer to give a custom amount as well. Your donors can also choose between giving a one-time gift or recurring gift. For recurring, they would just select between monthly or weekly and then set up the appropriate schedule they'd like to do from there. You can also give your donors the ability to choose which purpose they want to give towards for your organization. And your donors also have the ability to leave a note for your organization, and you can offer them a way to pay for the transaction fee for their donation if they want to. Once your donors have filled everything out, they would just click the button at the bottom of the page, and that will take them to the next screen where they can put in their payment information. And so just kind of quickly say this here as well. So with the online donation forms, this is essentially creating a separate web page that your people will be redirected to. So you can provide this link in any kind of way to share with your people, such as if you wanted to put it on your website somewhere, if you wanted to share it on social media, if you wanted to put a link within an email. This would be the option you'd want to do for your form. So you would just provide that link to your people, whatever place you see as fit, and then they can just be redirected to this form to fill out and submit their donation through. All right. The other option that we have available is a donation widget. So a widget, this is something that you would embed into your website. So instead of sending your people to a separate web page, it would act as a pop-up on your website so that they can just quickly fill out the information from there. And so here is an example of what that would look like. So here is a sample web page that I've created. This little button here, if I click on it, it's going to pop up this widget that I've made. So essentially the same information to fill out. They can choose from a designated amount or put in their custom amount, choose between one time or recurring if they want to pay for the transaction fee, and then they can just move on from there to enter in the rest of their information. So instead of actually having to leave your website, they could just stay right there and fill that form out. But the awesome thing about using the online form or widget is a lot of things happen automatically for you when you use us for online donations. So similar to the events tool, so once a transaction has been submitted or a donation has been submitted, we automatically take care of the payment for you in the system. So once someone submits their donation, not only do we record the giving record on the donation side, but we also post an accounting deposit entry as well, so that your books are going to stay in balance for those donations that come through. The other thing that happens automatically is that we send out an email to your donors. So once this payment has been made, we send a receipt to them that says, thank you for your donation of this amount to this organization. If you have any questions, please let us know, yada, yada. So all that is taken care of automatically for you. So there's no manual work and trying to get in touch with your contacts or the people that purchase your tickets. They'll automatically see the receipt of what they've purchased. So very handy to have around there. Going down here now in the online donations tab, if you want to review the things that have come through from your forms or widgets, you can go to online donations, and this will take you to the page that shows all of the online donations that have processed or attempted to process within the software. So whether they're one-time or recurring, they're going to live here on this page. The second page you have access to is called recurring donations, and this will just let you know of all of the donors that have set up a recurring donation for your organization, so you can keep track of those. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and jump into the reports page again, and we're going to talk about those donation reports that you can run. So towards the bottom here, you do have a category for donations, and we have a lot of donation reports that you can generate, which are very helpful. So donations by contact, this will let you see a list of all of your donors that have given within a certain time period. And then we also have some reports for you called like the lie button and the side button. So someone that has given last year, but unfortunately not this year, or someone that has given some year, but unfortunately not this year. You can also pull reports based off your top donors or your pledges, like I mentioned earlier. You can even pull reports based off of the notes and reminders that you've set up for your donor contacts. But donations by contact, I want to show you this one real quick because this is a very powerful report. Not only does it show you the details for your donors and what they've given, but this is the area where you can come to generate your contribution statements for your donors for tax purposes. So when you get here, you would just select which area, which time period you're looking for. So we can say last year now for 2018. Once I do that, then I'll click on extra actions, and this gives me two options to generate my statements. I can either click the print contribution statements, so I can print those out and hand deliver them to my people, or I can click email statements, which will send an email copy of that statement to my donors. So both very, very easy to do. So the first one here for print, just to show you what that all looks like. When you click print, it'll show you this kind of description screen here, so you can select some options, such as if you want the statement to be detailed or summarized, if you want the donors to see the purpose and funds they gave to, the accounts they gave to, or both, if you want your logo to appear on the statements. And then you can also put in a personal message that will appear on each statement that is generated. And so just to show you again what this all looks like, so we click print here when we are ready. That'll download a PDF file to your computer, and that PDF file is going to contain a statement for each donor that has given to your organization. So it's all right here. All those statements that you need to send out for your people, they're all listed right here in this one PDF file that gets generated. So from there, just print them out, and then you can hand deliver or snail mail those statements to your people. The email option, just as easy. So you go there, click email statements. Just check the box that says attach PDF copy of the statement. And then from there, you can just select where the email is coming from, where the reply to should be sent. You can put in your personal message there. And then as long as the contact has an email listed in Aplos, you can click email, and those emailed statements will go right out to those designated donors. And so all of those very easy to do. So that very little effort is needed to generate those and get those going. All right. So let's go ahead, and now what I'm going to do is just kind of talk about these last two tabs that we haven't touched on yet. So the first one for groups and teams we have here, this is a new feature that we've come out with, and this allows you to create kind of teams within your organization. So maybe if you have like a committee or a certain group that gets together and does certain activities, this is the area you can come to create those groups, and then those groups are kind of be like a member management platform, so that each group can log into their own separate Aplos kind of account, and then they can manage the members who are a part of that group or team, and they can send emails between each other. They can send messages to the whole team. They can print out like a member directory, that kind of thing. So that is a new feature that we've come out with. And so if you do have those types of kind of groups or teams within your organization, this would definitely be a helpful tool. And we also have a webinar that goes into a lot more detail about this tool. So definitely let me know if you're interested, and I can send you a copy of that webinar. All right, so now under marketing, this is going to be more the communication side of the system that we offer. So from here, we already talked about the feed. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump over to this email subheader now. So like I mentioned earlier, you are able to send out emails through the software if you wanted to. What you would do for that is just you can either create an email template that you can use for your content, or you can just write something out from scratch. But when you're ready to send out an email, you would go under email campaigns here. And then just to show you real quickly what one would look like, let's go here. All right, so you would start by putting in a name for the campaign, a description for it if you wanted to, what the subject line should read for the emails that get sent out, who the emails are coming from, and where the replies should be sent. From there, you'll just put in the content that you want to for the email, who the recipients should be, and then you can send those right out to your people. So you can either send it right then and there, or you can schedule a time so that it sends out in the future sometime. All right, and this last tab for automatic emails here, this refers to those emails that we automatically send out on your behalf. So like I was mentioning earlier with the event registration tool or with online donations, these are the templates that you can review that we send for the emails that we send out to your people. So you can see about the event registration, or for those who gave a one-time donation, or if it was unable to process. You can review all those templates there. There isn't much information that you can edit on those templates since we have it set up so that it's required to say those certain things, but you can add on to those email templates if you wanted to. All right. Letters. This is a way for you to build out letters from the software if you wanted to. So if you wanted to create a letter and then mail that out to your people, you could do that. Just to show you an example of what that would look like. Let's see, here is a sample one that we created. So we have our logo on the top, we have the date, and then there are some custom fields that you can apply to these letters and even the emails. So something like fill in the donor's first name or donor's last name, or their birthday, email address, etc. So whatever information you want to kind of autofill for you on the letters or the emails, you can select these custom fields to apply to your content. All right, and then lists we already talked about, and then website. This is something that we've also recently released. So this is a way for you to build a website directly within Aplos. We try to keep everyone in mind when we created this. So whether you have a lot of experience with website builders, or if you're just someone that's kind of taken over and brand new to the whole topic of building websites, it is a very simple process to kind of go in and build your own website through the system. Here's just an example of a website that was built through our software. So this is actually someone from our team that built this out, but this is for Cats for the Disadvantaged. So they have a little video here on their homepage. If you scroll down, there's some more information. But all these fields and text, this is all built within the Aplos system. Wasn't anything that needed to be installed or kind of plugged in from other places. It's all just built right here within Aplos. So pretty neat there. So that is the last thing I do want to mention, because I haven't touched on it yet. When you do send an email or a letter through the system, the cool thing about that as well is that we automatically put in a report of contact for you for your contacts. So whenever you send an email or a letter to someone, if you review their contact card afterward, you'll notice that we place the report of contact for you within each of those contacts contact card. All right. All right, well, perfect. I think we did it. We made it, and we did it with a little bit over an hour, but we made it. So that is essentially everything that you can do within the Aplos software. So like I said, there's a lot of functionality here. There's a lot of tools that we put in your metaphorical toolbox to help you better your organization. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go on mute for a second to grab a cup of water, and then we are going to knock out these questions that have come through the question section. So just hang on tight, guys. I'll be right back, and we'll storm through those questions, okay? Thanks. All right, thanks for hanging on, guys. So I am back and ready to roll. So let's go ahead and search through these questions that have come through. So Ian, I did remember your question about the recording transactions for receiving donations. Hopefully I answered that question. If you didn't, let me know and I can jump back to that. Next one here I see, let's see. If our church utilizes a different platform for contribution donations than those that you listed, would we just utilize the transaction template to import it into Aplos, or is there a way to somehow integrate to that platform? So other than anyone outside of the partners that I mentioned earlier, we don't have an integration for. However, that being said, if you are using a different platform, that's totally fine. You can continue to use them if you like. If you want to get that information into Aplos, if you wanted to import the donation history so that you could generate statements in Aplos, there is a way for you to import contributions into the system if you wanted to. So back under this contributions subheader, if you go to extra actions, there is an import option that has its own template that you can use to import that donation history. Otherwise, if you just want to import for accounting's sake, then you would just go through that process of the manual import page that we looked at earlier to get that accounting data in the system. Okay, perfect. Joel, I got your request about the info on events, so I will definitely send that to you later today. Let's see. If a donor sets up a recurring donation, does Aplos automatically process that donation on a recurring basis, or does the admin need to process manually? All right, Lindsay, hopefully I got that question answered for you. But yeah, if someone sets up a recurring donation in the system, there isn't any work on the admin side that needs to be done. Those transactions will automatically be processed, depending on what schedule they set up for that recurring donation. All right. Oh, sorry about that, Charles. It sounds like you were having some audio issues on your end. I don't know if anyone else was having those issues, but we are actually recording today's webinar, so we should have that live within the next few days to get it kind of all cleaned up. So if you do want a copy of the webinar from today, or just any other recording, just feel free to let me know and we'll get that information to you. So does the system store letters sent out on each contact's record? So Janelle, I may have answered that as well. I'm not sure, but let me reread that. So does the system store letters sent out on each contact's record? So if I'm understanding your question, we don't attach a copy of the email that was sent or the letters that were sent out for each contact. However, we do put that record on the report of contact section so that you do know when you've sent someone a letter or an email from the system. All right. If we import our customers, does it capture all of my history? So let's see. For that one, Jewel, I'm not quite sure I'm understanding. So if you import your contact history, it won't retroactively apply any transactions to those contacts. However, if you've already imported your contacts, and then you do or if you already have your contact information in the system and then you do like an import of your transactions or your donations, as long as the names that you have on the template match up with the names you have in the contact database, then those will assign itself to those contacts in your system. All right. So hopefully that all helps. Lindsay, I got your request for the recording of today's webinar, so keep a lookout for that in the next couple of days here. So I think that was it as far as the questions that came through. If anyone out there still has any more questions, feel free to keep putting them in that Q&A section. Let me go ahead and I do want to show you guys one more piece of the software before we all get going. I do know it's a little bit past the hour mark, so definitely understand if you guys need to take off. But if you do, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really glad that we had you this morning, and definitely feel free to reach out to us if you have any kind of questions or concerns that you'd like to run by us. But for those of you that are willing to stick around, let me show you this one page real quick. So back here, I'll just jump back to the dashboard page. It's a little easier to look at. All right, so on the dashboard page here, there we go. All right, so on the far right-hand side of that main menu, there's a little question mark icon, and if you hover over it, it says Support Center. So if you click on that, that will take you to our Support Center page. What this area is designed to do is give you resources that go over the different topics that or the different actions that you can perform within the software. So if you have any kind of questions at all, or if you're stuck somewhere in a particular task, just come to this support center here and you can search the knowledge base that we offer for any articles or videos that go over that certain task. Hopefully we have the information there for you, but definitely if you are not finding the information you want, or you just have a little bit more or need a little bit more extra understanding on a certain area, definitely feel free to get in touch with our team. We offer free support to you guys, so you can either email us at support@aplos.com, or you can call us through the 888 number that we list here on this support center page. We are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So definitely feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. A third way of getting in touch with us is through the little messenger icon that you have down here in the bottom right-hand side of your page. So this little messenger tool, this doesn't act as a live chat, unfortunately, but this is a quick way of getting in touch with us as well. We do keep our phones as priority, but definitely, if you're not able to get through or you don't feel like giving us a call, definitely feel free to send us a message through there. And our team usually responds to those messages within the first hour. So definitely just an alternative way of getting in touch with us if you need to. All right. So all that being said, let me go ahead and just jump over here. See, I did see one more question come through, so let me just see that one real quick. So I am currently using Neon Donor Management System. If I purchase Aplos, I want to bring all the customer history over so I don't lose my donations up to now. Is that possible? So that's a great question. So yeah, thank you for that, Joel. So if you are coming from another donor management system, like I was mentioning earlier, as long as you would want to import your contact history first, or excuse me, your contact data first. Once you do that, then you can bring over your donor history, and then once you do all that, everything will line up with each other so that that history will live in Aplos if you want it to. As long as you can export your information into an Excel file, it's very easy to import that information into Aplos if you wanted to. All right, perfect. Well, thank you all very much for joining us today. Looks like that was the last question for now, and I want to get you guys going so that you can go on and go about seizing the day for your organization. So thank you very much. If you're brand new to Aplos and just looking into new software, I hope you liked what you saw. If you are an existing customer just looking for a little bit of extra advice and tips and tricks of the software, I hope you got that information. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any questions at all, please let our team know. We'll be more than happy to help you out. But other than that, have a great, wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.